Welcome to Sheogoraths Accords of Madness. This is a cross between the Cyrodiil Upgrade Overhaul and Origin of the Mages Guild, except for it's entirely for the Shivering Isles and the Mad God. In this mod, I basically throw caution to the wind. I'm not really concerned about the compatibilities. I figured for this one mod, I'll just mod it any way I please. Everybody else makes their mods that way, so I figured, why can't I? So in this mod, I'm editing anything I feel needs editing to make this work. And I'm not making any kind of workarounds or whatever for other people. So you'll probably find it conflicts with quite a few other mods out there. And when it does, just remember this. I don't care. It's tough shit. Choose this or that. Now, the whole point of this mod is to cure some of the problems with the Shivering Isles generally, and one of the major problems is the spawn points. Spawn points can have water creatures appearing in mountains, land creatures appearing near the water. Beth really didn't care. They seemed to have scattered it randomly everywhere. The only difference is you got some of the undead ones appearing in undead locations. That was about the only way they organised things, and they're limited. So what I've done is, in the version 1 at least, I organised this a bit better. I've made my own path spawns, so you've got heretics appearing as well as various creatures that you'd expect to see on the paths ready to jump you. I put the land creatures actually on the land, and I put water creatures on the shore and in the water. This means nearly every spawn point has been revamped, so that none of them are in the original locations. They've all been changed slightly. And as a result of this, you won't see quite as many variety in the hills, but all the water creatures will appear near the water, and all the land creatures will appear on land. And undead creatures, they will appear near undead locations. It's actually quite good, the undead locations. I was thinking of expanding on it later and adding a few more. Anyway, one of the things you'll see is situations like this, where the water creatures spawn in greater numbers in the water. The reason why is because I originally wanted them all to spawn between 1 and 5 creatures, but I ended up being chased by 15 gnarls, so that's some trees. Imagine 15 trees chasing you down. I thought, nah, that's not quite right. But in the water it's different. It works in the water better because you see them all wandering around the water and in the shallows, and it just works brilliantly. Like here you see where you get the baddies coming at you in the water. First 1, then 2, whatever. It's fairly weak creatures generally, but they're a nuisance really. And now your area effects all gets rid of them. But you see, these being fairly low level creatures tend to be there just to make up the numbers, but they look good when you get a number of them running around the shoreline. And the other thing you see is like the scale on it. The size difference gives away the level. The smaller the creature, the weaker it is. The bigger the creature, the higher the level. Now, because this is an unleveled mod like the CUO is, you will find that knowing the size is a lifesaver. If you come up against something that's fairly small and you're only a low level, you'll probably do well. A bigger creature, you probably won't. So it's a good way of judging whether you stand a chance or not. Like here, you've got the ballywogs and the grommet, something they're called. They're actually the same creature. This is a larvae stage of the bigger creature you're about to see. They were supposed to appear together. One comes from the water, one lives on land after it's bred. It's all to do with the law books you see in the game. The law books in the game didn't match the actual contents of the game until I revamped it with this. You'll find the ballywog descriptions and the grommet descriptions and everything else, and even these insect descriptions don't match what they actually do in the game. So I've made some effort to actually fix that. So when you read the books about the creatures and everything else, you actually get something that matches it. No, well, not very closely, because the features of the game don't cover everything, but as close as I could get it. Anyway, like the other things, you'll see these change in size as well, you know, according to the level of the creature. Like here's a fairly high level one, so the creature's fairly big, whereas smaller versions would indicate a lower level version of the Electras. The second part of it is about you controlling your realm. Now there's two ways of doing this. by your powers as the Prince of the Realm, so the King of the Realm, whichever you want to choose. These are represented in the game by Sheogoraths spells. The name Sheogorath appears in the spell name, and these are you ordering people around, and they tend to only work with people inside the palace, and they tend to be specific. For instance, you can pick your guards between male and female by talking to Hescliff. That's not a power, that's just you giving Hescliff an order. But you can then tell them to follow you using the Sheogoraths Follow Me spell. That is actually an order, not a spell, basically. And you can tell the dancers to dance, the soldiers to sneak, but you can't tell the soldiers to dance or the dancer to sneak. The spells only work on, or the orders only work on people that are trained to fulfill that order. However, you've got Accords of Madness spells. These are god powers. You can use these on anybody. So you can actually make say your guards dance and various other things using these powers. But they're also intended to let you make things look a little bit mad. For instance, you could use these to go around the Imperial City and just get everybody dancing, so there's literally dancing in the streets. Bit mad, but you are the Mad God, and that's what you should be able to do. And that's going to be the key feature of the Mad God's powers. Not something that will overwhelm the game, but something that will make things a little bit more insane. Now the thing about the Mad God is, he's not strictly about madness, he's about obsession, addiction, anything that's more intense, even art, music, you know, this is his area, his domain, so anything as well as madness can be found here. You might even find spells later on, or powers later on, for making people sing, because if it's somebody that loves singing, that does it all the time, then it's, in a way, it's an obsession, so that falls under his domain. Now there is one problem with this. The Jiggalad sword you get as a reward appears right where my new doorway is. Unfortunately, I can't really move it, because there's one for every level practically, and I don't know which level you were when you finish this, and I can't just move the lot to a new location, but here it is. It's a persistent object, so it stays floating there until you pick it up. So you're going to have to move that onto the new pad yourself, so when you install the mod. Now this here is Sheogorath's own quarters. It's a little bit mad because he is the Mad God. You got lava and trees growing out of the lava and paths going through the lava, etc. Display cases which you can use to display your stuff in. It's actually quite a nice little place. It's a bit unusual. It never rains here. You know, it's a bit like Mankind Cameron's Paradise. The actual look you're seeing here is actually the Tamriel of old. If you want to go down to the times of the aliens ruled Tamriel, if you imagine that lava as grass, this is it. This is what you'd see. This is the old Tamriel. The old Tamriel would have looked very similar to this. Anyways, as you can see, it's just basically a fancy house or room. So there isn't much more to see here. Now these are the barracks. These are spare troops you intended to be able to use. You're supposed to be able to use your orders to get them to follow you and join you in combat. This is currently work in progress because they're not working exactly as I hoped, so it's a question of tweaking them until they do work. Currently, because they respawn, you can lose them if you want and they'll come back 3 days later right where they're supposed to be. But they have a nasty habit of forgetting the orders you give them after you change or fast travel from one location to another, so I need to sort that out. But as you can see, each has their own unique looking barracks and they will follow you. See, there's some more follow me in sneak mode. And these are the ones outside the Shivering Isles as well, as you can see. Now this is, you're about to see, this is what you do. You can re-equip them as well. For instance, I'm going to give this one a staff. Then I'm going to take the staff off them and remove the helmet and the staff, so this one won't have a helmet on. So we can do this. But remember, these are respawning troops from that barracks. The ones in the barracks are all respawn, so these won't remember the equipment you give them. But you can still customise it. You can customise it with any saint or seducer or any member of your palace.
There's a charge in the air. Been casting some destruction spells?